Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Podcast, where we help you unlock your potential freedom through land investing, real estate investing, and entrepreneurship. Hey everyone, this is episode 125 of the Real Estate Investing Podcast, discussing why land flipping is recession-proof. I'm your host, Dan Rapke, joined again by my brother and business partner, Ron Apke. Before we get into the show, let's go over a question from one of our featured Discord members. Today's question is from Julie. Julie asked, I just pulled my first comp data, and after I scrubbed out the outliers, there's pretty huge split. There seem to be about 60% of the properties around $35,000 and 40% $100,000 or over. Should I just move on from this county due to difficulty with pricing, or do you guys ever take the time to split out different APNs and send two separate mailers? I know that doesn't sound horribly efficient, just curious.
Yeah, so with this being your first mailer, I would say choose a different county. There, as you learn, as you go through mailer and pricing, you're going to learn. I'm guessing there's some bad comps in there, Daniel. That's what I'm thinking with the 100,000 on one end of the spectrum. Like there are some bad comps on there. She said, I think 40% are 35,000 and then 60 at 100,000. It's obviously a huge range, and you cannot just price in the middle because you're going to either underprice or overprice depending on the area. You might be able to split it up by zip code. If you haven't watched the advanced module pricing module, do that. But I would go to a different county, one that makes a little more sense from a data perspective. If you already download this data, it is not a big deal at all. Keep that data and price it here in a couple of weeks after you've sent 2, 3, 4 mailers.
Yeah, and I kind of have I need to look at this more to give Julie a definite answer. I think that when I started asking her specific questions on this round, she pulled 0.5 acres. And I'm curious if those splits are in those HOA subdivisions where, house prices go anywhere from $1 million to a $150,000 house in different subdivisions across the county. 0.5 acres can be very hard to price because of these splits. And I'm just curious if you just filter up to like 2 acres and up, how those pricing splits are, because it might not be as bad as it seems. I think a lot of those, because she did mention HOAs and how she's seeing a lot of those info lots as the big price difference and the more expensive ones. So Julie, to start, I would filter out anything under 2 acres, go from 2 to whatever you did, 2 to 20, and see if you get that big of a split. If there's still a big split, you can see, okay, is it in the north or in the south, and try to figure it out. She did not watch the advanced module either at this point, Ron, so she might have a better idea now of how to go about this. But I wanted to throw that out there because she did pull comps and data that are 0.5 and 0.5 to 1 acres, which has really, really big splits and are hard to price, Ron. But other than that, let's get into the show. Today, we're talking about why land flipping is recession proof. And I think the overall, Ron, I mean, we're getting into 2023 right now, where it's January 29th when we're recording this. And it's been the biggest topic in the land community for quite some time, just because, I mean, you turn on the news, everywhere you see the market's bullish, interest rates are high, and less people are buying than ever. Less people are spending, or not than ever, but less people are buying than they were a year ago, and less people are spending money, Ron. And I think it all comes down to, and we're going to get into specifics, Ron, but it all comes down to adaptation and adapting in recession markets, adapting in bearish markets, bullish markets, and everything else in between, Ron. And I think that's the biggest thing that we're going to talk about here.
Yeah, I think, and the key to this episode, guys, is land flipping. Like we're saying, it is recession proof. It can be recession proof. If you do things the wrong way, the recession will hurt you and your business without a doubt. But if you adjust and adapt, like Daniel said, that is the key to any business can be successful in a recession. No single industry is just shutting down because of recession. There are successful companies in every single industry during a recession, and there are companies that grow 10x during recession because of, like we talked about, the opportunities. So if you're doing things the right way, you're going to grow a ton these next 24 months, 18 to 24 months during the recession. While if you are doing things the wrong way, taking unnecessary risk, buying defected property, this recession can put you out of business.
Completely agree. And at the end of the day, what I believe, and I strongly believe this, in real estate, there are more millionaires that are being made in bearish markets than bullish markets, Ron. So I think that in these tighter markets where you have the opportunity to buy much cheaper, buy better properties for cheaper, and you have, like Ron said, you have to adapt and you have to buy nice land. And we're going to get into all the specifics, but I think they're personally, I think there's more opportunities to get rich and to make money in real estate in these recession markets than in the hot markets of 2020 or 2021 that we saw. And I strongly believe that you're going to be buying at a bigger discount price. But the next thing we need to talk about, Ron, let's talk about just buying land, acquiring land during a recession, how to go about this, how to change our business for buying better land, buying cheaper. Let's talk about that. Buying land, acquiring land during a recession.
So I think the first key is like, let's start from the beginning, guys. Choosing counties is the very beginning. You do not want to choose counties that are overly slow. Not necessarily you have to choose the hottest counties in the country, but choosing those middle ground counties, at least not choosing the lower end that might have worked 6, 8, 12 months ago, whatever. And then going to pricing, you need to be a little less aggressive under pricing, especially when you're, let's say it's $100,000 property, because you need to predict or be able to undercut the market when you're selling. So make sure you guys are pricing a little lower, and then you can work with them on the phones. Going into that, once you acquire or prior to acquiring, due diligence is really, really important, because defected property will not sell like it did 12 months ago. So in that due diligence, you need to be really good. If there is something you find, you need to negotiate down. And then going to the selling, like once you acquire, going to the selling, you need to undercut the market, like I already talked about. So that's kind of going from the start, picking a county, Daniel, all the way to the end. That is how you're going to beat the recession. That's how you're going to become a more profitable business during the recession than you were previous. But you got to take action on those things, or it can really hurt you.
Absolutely. And like we said, focus on good land. Be willing to walk away. It in recessions, Ron, inventory is going to go up and buyers are going to go down, which means there's going to be more competition on the marketplace, which means you need to undercut. We'll get into the selling, but you need to undercut the market, and you need to be willing to walk away from bad acquisitions. I think that's like there's going to be so many deals out there. In general, in recessions, it becomes easier to acquire and harder to sell. Therefore, be willing to walk away if your land's defected and they won't negotiate down with you. There's going to be more opportunities. The people that will succeed are the people who hold their ground and are willing to walk away, period. You do not want to overprice. You do not want to force deals in recessions, because at the end of the day, Ron, at the end of the year, you're going to hold inventory hold time is going to be longer. Focus on buying cheaper, focus on willing to walk away. Your negotiation power goes up in recessions. Cash becomes more powerful. There's so many things to our advantage in this business model. We are buying with cash. That's very powerful in recessions. Cash is extremely powerful in recessions. So those are the things you need to focus on. You have more buying power now than you did a year ago, 2 years ago, period. So focus on that, realize that, understand that, do whatever you need to do internally to believe that, because it is true and you're going to see more and more of it. And guys, if you guys have not already left us a review on Apple Podcasts, it really helps spread our mission and help more people reach the freedom that they are looking for. So please leave us a review on Apple Podcast if you guys have already not. We really appreciate it. Ron, let's get into selling properties during a recession. So we just talked about acquiring. Now let's talk about selling. One thing I did want to point out first, because it was the thing that came to the top of my mind when writing this script for this podcast, Ron, is more buyers are backing out. Some of it is our fault, but I think some of it's also the market. So it's one thing to keep an eye on. Talk about just selling properties during a recession.
Yeah, I mean, you need solid buyers. And I've talked to, it's so enticing when you get a $50,000 offer from someone who wants a perk test and a survey and they need a loan. It's so enticing to accept that over the $44,000 cash offer close in 2 weeks. But I'm telling you, that $50,000 offer is going to fall out more times than not right now. If it's got all those contingencies, maybe push back on them saying no perk, no survey, the loan is fine, $2,000 due diligence fee, and push something like that. You got to push these buyers to put money up front that they cannot get back after 7 days or something like that. If you have, that is the number one thing with contracts and with buyers that will fall out, is if they have a way to get out of the contract after 28 days without any money lost, those buyers are not legitimate. Push back on them, have it be a 7-day due diligence, $2,000 earnest money, and then see how serious they actually are. And that is the number one thing. You need to have buyers willing to lose money. If they're willing to lose money, they're probably going to end up buying the property unless something really bad happens, versus where they're just kind of putting out feelers for that $50,000 offer. And they know after 27 days, I have a 28-day due diligence period. I can tell them, I don't like this about the property. Give me my money back.
Yeah, good point, Ron. And I think in regards to that, like when we're talking about selling properties in a recession, it brings me back to only buy good land and undercut the market. Like there's going to be less buyers, like we said. There's a lot of people backing out as well. But if you have good land, because like we said, there's inventory that is going to be rising, right? There's more inventory, so we have to find a way. If all the 5 acre properties are listed for $50,000, listed at $45,000, and your land's better than theirs, it's nicer land, so you're listing cheaper and nicer at a discount at 90%, like that will sell. That's going to sell in any market, whether it's 85, 90%. I just think that is. And then a lot of the times what happens too is people see that you get more attention. It's like Mike Ron. The other day, Mike formed a bidding war, and no one thinks bidding wars are going on anymore with land. And he got 2 cash offers, one over asking price, one at asking price, and a ton of more. And it wasn't even on the MLS yet. And it's because he listed cheap and it was really nice land and there's no restrictions on it. And it was in a good county. He did a really good job picking this county. It was a nice county where the demand for 4 acres, I think it was very, very high. I don't know what the outcome is in this buying war yet, Ron, but those are things that can happen. You think you're pricing lower and all of a sudden you get $5,000, $6,000 more, whether it depends the size, but yeah, that can happen too. But it really just brings me back around, undercut the market, buy good land, be willing to walk away, acquire cheap, and you might need to be more flexible with selling in some aspects.
I want to break down that situation real fast, Dan, because I think that's really valuable. It was in a decently hot county. He bought it. The buy price really doesn't matter. I think he bought it for 13, something like that, 14 maybe, Dan. I probably told him to list around 30 or something like that. I think that's what he kind of thought. I don't know what the market really was saying in terms. I don't think there's a ton of data. Is that correct, Daniel? In the
Um,
area?
it was hard to tell. Yeah, it was really hard. Like we didn't know this was that hot of a county.
We said yes to buying the property because like it was such good land. And like Daniel said, focus on buying good land. He listed it for 30. He got a full price cash offer. It sounded like within a couple hours off Facebook, wasn't on the MLS. So we
It was
got a
within the day.
$30,000
Yeah.
cash offer. And exactly what I told him, I said, don't take that cash offer for granted. I would probably accept it. That's what I said. And then he had a second person within a couple more hours offer $30,000. And then he came back to us. He said, I have another full price cash offer. What should I do? And then Daniel said, all right, tell them I have multiple full price cash offers. Bring your final and best offer by Saturday night. I think this was Thursday at the time, by Saturday night. And then we're going to make a decision then. And there were 3 more people. So he had 5 people going into a bidding war. Worst case scenario, he's going to end up getting $30,000 cash for really good land, turn his 14,000 into 30. And I wouldn't suggest that in all. If you could just, if they're really legitimate buyers like these were, that's when you can take this situation. But if one of them's low to 45-day due diligence, take the 30-day or take the 30K cash fast close. But Michael handled this really well, and Daniel gave him really good advice to probably get an extra $2,000 or $3,000, right?
Yeah, I'm curious. I was thinking probably 4 to 6, to be honest. And that might not be worth it for you guys either if you have a really good buyer. But the thing is, one thing to note: don't do this with everyone, because Mike had 2 really strong offers, like closed within 2 weeks, literally no contingency. They were going off our sales agreement, I think, Ron, and they just wanted to close the damn thing.
No
So there was
realtors.
literally no contingency, cash offer. They were really, really strong offers, but all went to the land. So it depends. Like if you would have had one offer that was $30,000 cash and one offer that was $34,000 with some contingency, I probably just would have taken the 31 and not gone into a bidding war, or gone back to him and say, hey, $34,000 offer, remove all the contingencies and I'll consider you. Right now, I can't consider you with that, because that's the power of cash in these markets. You're going to have more people buy out. You want these less restrictions. And those were really, really, really good offers that he had. That's why I advised him for that.
Yeah, that's exciting to see because not every market is just in a recession. And like we said, like we don't know exactly what the market value was there because there is such a little data, but it's a low data market where it's clearly hot and there are a lot of buyers out there, which is really, I'm excited to see that. Seeing a bidding war in this market after he acquired something so cheap is really cool to see.
Yeah, and I'm glad we brought that up, Ron. We're gonna share this more and see how it plays out because we really don't see bidding wars this much anymore. So he's either really underpriced or it's a really hot market. So or a combination of both. And I think he is underpriced, obviously, if he's having 5 offers within not even 12 hours or whatever it was. But we'll keep you guys updated on that because I'm really curious to see how that plays out, Ron. Let's go over a recap of what we talked about because I think we hit all the points I wanted to hit. Um, just to kind of go back to the ground, inventory rises, demand shrinks. So you have to buy good land at discounted prices. Like that's one sentence that I would just pull across your 2023, right? Inventory rises, demand shrinks, buy good land at more discounted prices. It gives you more flexibility to drop the price when needed. Just focus on that good land, Ron.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think if you follow things like it's easier said than done what I said in this episode because it's hard to say no to land where you think you can make some money, but in the reality like you need to say no to some of those deals. You're going to end up with inventory backed up, and that is the number one way to mess up this business model in my opinion, Daniel, is having inventory, especially if it's either way, if it's your money or a funder's money, if you're having inventory backed up and inventory sitting, you're going to struggle to to keep your mail going and everything like that in this market.
Yeah, and I strongly believe millionaires are made in recessions when it comes to real estate, Ron. And I want to touch on that point because you are going to be, whether you're investing in land or investing in rentals or whatever it is, investing in single family houses, any property at all, you're going to be getting discounts. You might pay a little more interest, but you're getting that $600,000 multifamily for $400,000 or whatever your situation is. And that's where the money's made. Refinance out later. Millionaires are made in recessions, Ron. Anything else to add?
No, I really think this is, I mean, it's real, guys. It's not just land flipping, it's real estate. Any business really is, it can be recession proof. Like any business can be successful in this. We're just telling you the steps you need to take to make sure your land flipping business does well and grows during a recession. That's what I want to see everyone doing is having a growing land flipping business while other people are sitting on the sidelines.
Exactly. Sitting on the sidelines. When people hide and are scared and tucked away, Ron, that's when the opportunities, that's when you guys got to pull your big chest out and go make some moves because that competition's shrinking. People are scared. People are scared to send mail. They're scared to buy properties. Everyone gets scared. And when people are scared, that's when the opportunities come. And I know that happens. Competition's going to get snipped. All the fat in these recessions get snipped off. People who could have been in business that had bad service are going to get snipped off. The world becomes a better place at the end of the day. We need to go through these. So if you just focus on adapting your business, you're going to make a lot of money. But other than that, guys, thank you for joining. Like I said earlier, if you guys have already not, please leave us a review on Apple Podcast. It really helps our business grow and we appreciate it. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you guys next episode.
Thanks, everyone.